Okay, welcome everyone. This is the first webinar series, or first webinar session in a series we're going to be hosting that's really focused on the Ride with GPS club account. This particular session is focused on club admin features and options, basically just going through the club account, highlighting all the different options that are available, and really trying to show you some of the best practices. One thing I did want to mention, we got a few questions already regarding the recording. I am currently recording this now, and we're going to make that available to everybody after it uploads, and we do some minor editing and stuff like that. So this session and all the other ones will be saved, and we'll be sending out an email letting everyone know how to access those. Okay, so first thing I want to do is just give you a presentation overview, walk through the stuff that we're going to be covering. We're going to talk about who is Ride with GPS. Before I go any further, I'll also say who I am. I'm Will. I've probably worked with a lot of you over the years. I started working for the company in 2015. And at that time, we were 6 employees. We've grown a lot since then. The other person on this call on this presentation is Alex Gay, who a lot of you have worked with, and he also runs the organization program with me. The other things we're going to be covering is club account overview, and then kind of the bulk of the presentation is going to be a live demo where we call out some of the features. We highlight everything. So we'll cover things like accessing your club account, the member table, the route library, the event system, and how it ties into your website if you choose to use that. A new feature that we released and we're revamping, actually, collections. And then we're gonna save enough time at the end to go through Q&A. The other thing I'd like to say in regards to Q&A is that Zoom does have a Q&A module built into it. So if you want to go ahead and ask your questions through Zoom, we'll either work those into the presentation, respond real time, or we'll save all those questions for the end. Okay, so who is Ride with GPS? We are a software company that builds software specifically for cyclists. We ourselves are cyclists, so we have an idea of what people want. We know what we want when we go out and ride, and we know what we're looking for, and that drives a lot of our decisions in terms of the route planner tools that we build, the navigation tools that we build. We're recognized as an industry leader for our route planner and also for turn-by-turn voice navigation, the app. Some stats on the company. The company was founded in 2007 by Zach and Cullen. They're still a very active part of the company. We work with them pretty much every single day. They still drive the ship and still talk to customers often, still go on club rides in Portland, Oregon, where we're based. Still very, very much a part of everything. We're 18 full-time staff now, like I said, based in Portland, and we have several million users all over the globe, and hundreds of different cycling clubs all over the globe as well. The other thing I always like to highlight is that Ride with GPS has no outside funding. There's no venture capital. We don't sell any rider data. We don't have ads on our platform, which is something that people have always appreciated. This enables us to listen to our customers and helps drive our development roadmap based off of the feedback that we get from customers in the input, which is a very fortunate situation to be in when we're doing things like the club account. So the club account, the idea of it came from working directly with clubs both here in Portland, Oregon, and also other clubs that we had a long-term relationship with. At this point, that when we launched it in 2015, there was a handful of clubs that had been using a personal account for 5+ years. And they all had a lot of the same kind of management problems. They had a bunch of people all signing into one account, and things were getting deleted or removed, or the password was being updated and no one really knew who had access. The other problem is that club routes were spread out amongst 5, 10, 15 different accounts, and none of them were centralized. So we sat down with some of these clubs that we worked with and came up with some strategies and ideas and then implemented those. And some of the key features that we came away with were an enhanced library to manage all your routes and event schedule or ride schedule, a permission system where you can dynamically control it without affecting anyone else's access, and the ability to unlock paid features for both your route managers and your members. So the next thing we're going to jump into is the live demo. So what I'm going to do is hand over the control to Alex, and he's going to show you a demo club account that we have and walk through all the different features and options. And I'll be moderating the Q&A as we do that.
All right. Hi, everyone. Alex here. Glad to have you join us tonight. So I'll be showing you how to access the club account and all the features within it. So what that always will start off with is logging into your personal account on ridewithgps.com. Every member and admin of the club account will have their own individual personal account with us. And when you first access our website and you're a club member, you'll see your clubs here at the bottom of the left column. So I'm a member of quite a few clubs, so I've got all these different icons. You'll see your club icon, and when you want to access your club, go ahead and click it, and you'll come to your club's homepage. As an admin and route manager, you're able to sign into the club. So that button is over here. And once I click that, you'll notice that the navigation bar at the top turned from white to yellow. That just indicates you are signed into the club. Anything you do will impact the club, whether that's editing routes, modifying events. So on the club page, the club homepage here, you can edit this description. This is just the default description that is added to any club when you first create it. If you want to change it to show links to your website or important information that you want your riders to know, you can edit that just by clicking edit description. Here's a simple markup tool to change that. You'll see on the right, you can add your social media accounts that link to them and a contact email. This information is added from the manage account page. I'd like to first cover the members page. So here on the members page is where you'll see your list of members of the club who have joined your club account here on Ride with GPS. So you can see their names, their email address, and their privileges. A lot of you here tonight are admins, so you'll have the admin checkbox next to your name. And what an admin can do is have complete control of the account. You're able to manage routes, billing, members, and also lock routes, which we'll get to when we get to the route library table. Route managers are able to plan new routes, add routes, edit existing routes, create events, collections, and they also have access to advanced route planning tools in the route planner, which is typically a premium feature, but is unlocked when you are a route manager and signed into the club account. Billing manager are able to update the credit card or PayPal information on file, and they're also notified when your annual renewal is coming up. We'll send you an email 2 weeks before that date to any of the billing managers here. Member managers are able to add new members, and remove members. And as far as giving different members privileges, if you want to give someone the ability to edit routes, it's just a matter of clicking the checkbox Same goes for billing or member managers. Here on the right is the active checkbox. Active just indicates a member has view only privileges, so they're able to view public and private routes, public and members only routes in the account. And they would be able to access offline maps and turn-by-turn voice navigation on our app, estimated time on routes, PDF map and queue sheets on routes, and advanced turn notifications for Garmin files. And so those privileges only apply to routes in the club's route library. They don't extend outside of the club's route library. And by deselecting someone as active, they don't have access to those upgraded benefits anymore, but they're not deleted from the account if you wanted to reinstate them as active again in the future. Say they don't pay their dues and you wanted to incentivize them to rejoin again, you can deselect them and then reactivate them, and then they'll be able to use those benefits again. A few things you can do with their names. If Ken goes by a different name, we can change Ken to Kenny because they like to go by Kenny. If you have a different email address on file and you wanted to make sure it's the same from here to your master list on a different program, you can change their email address. This doesn't impact their personal account in any way. They'll still see that their name is listed as Ken. Their email address is still listed as whatever they've added, but this is just for your reference. As far as inviting members, getting people into the club account, there's two ways to do that. The first one is by inviting members with the member approval link. So that's up here, invite members. Let's click that. And we see this special link appear. This link can be sent out to anyone, and whoever clicks it will automatically join the club as a member. If they have an account with us already, they'll proceed to the account. If they don't have an account, they'll be asked to create one for free. So let's look at what that looks like. So I'm going to copy this and open an incognito window here. And so you just sent me that link. I clicked it and I proceed to this page. And this is what I first see. And so I see the club's logo. Here it's Ride with GPS because that's the logo we're using. If it's for your club, it would be whatever logo you've added. You'll see it right here. Same goes with the name. This is Ride with GPS Cycling Club, but it would say whatever the name of your club is. And if I'm a brand new user to Ride with GPS, I would need to create an account for free. So I can do that by clicking sign up. I'll enter my name and my email address. Copy that. And I'll sign up. And now I'm a member. And I can continue to the club and see any of the members only options. So I see events and route library. Since I'm just an active member, I don't have any additional privileges. I don't see the members page. I don't see collections or manage account. But as I go back to my page here, if I refresh this, we'll see my name added to this list. You can also add members from your club's homepage. So if I show you our club here, also in an incognito window, I am currently logged out of Ride with GPS. So if I was logged out or if I was not a club member, I would see this apply to join button And so if I click this, all the member managers would get an email saying Alex wants to join, approve them to give them access. And so, and then they would receive that after I either sign into my account or sign up. And you go back to your members page. And here we have this person who had previously requested access. I could come and click approve if I wanted to give them access, or I could click delete if I didn't want to give them access, or if I wanted to ask how they found out about our club and ask them to join. Perhaps if you require your members to pay dues to access the club account, you could email them. There's also some bulk operations as far as tags and making active. And I'll cover tags on the route library, which we'll do right now. So you'll find the route library here. And here is your list of all your club routes. Here you're able to quickly change the name of a route. If I double click it, I can call it anything else I want. And then it's automatically renamed rather than having to open up the route and editing it from there. I can change the privacy by double clicking the current privacy and choosing between public, route managers, or members. And I can see the change log. So when it was first added and when it was updated. If this was part of an event, you would see, here's the different events it's a part of, here's its tags. Or I can click view to open it in a new page. Like the members page, there's some bulk operations, but here there's more to it, more things to choose from. So if I wanted to take a couple of these routes and change a few things, like if I wanted to give them all a tag, I can click set tags, enter a tag that have already been added, like these tags. Click add tags. Or I can type in a new tag. Like that. If I want to remove a tag from the account, so delete a tag completely, a good way to do that is to filter by tag and then choose the tag that I want to get rid of, select all those routes, click set tags, and here choose webinar and click remove tags. Now when I refresh the page, this tag is still selected, but there's no routes because we removed this and it's no longer part of our tag list. Okay. You're also able to override the city. So if these two routes, we see the default start location is Portland, Oregon, and that's not quite accurate enough because we want to make it easy for where our members are going to meet. We can select those routes, click set city, and if there's a school parking lot you start from or a cafe, you can enter that name here, or a neighborhood like Richmond. I'll click save. So now rather than showing Portland, it says Richmond. Other bulk options, you can change privacy in bulk. change it from these two routes are currently members only. So if I wanted to make them public, make them public. If I wanted to archive them by doing that. And then it would move it to our archived route list, which you'll find the link to up here. Archiving is great for when you have routes that maybe are seldom used, but you don't want to delete entirely. Perhaps they're from an annual ride you do, but you don't use throughout the rest of the year. You can archive them, still have access to them, and then unarchive them when you want to add them back into your club's route library. So just by selecting those again and click unarchive. Archived routes are, archive routes will be listed in the app when viewing your route list in the app. They're only removed from the route library, this page on the website. So if you do archive a route, it will still appear in the app. And some more bulk operations, you're able to create an event, add to an event, and add to a collection. Rather than covering those here, I'll cover how we can create an event and add to an event and collection in just a moment. When we were back on the members table, I mentioned locking, and that's something that is only available to admins. So if you're only a route manager, but not an admin, you can't lock or unlock routes. Locking routes will prevent the route from being edited or deleted. So if you have routes that you don't want to modify or have any of your route managers change in any way, you can, as an admin, lock them, and they can't be changed until you or another admin unlock them. All right. Let's check out events. Here's our event page, and you'll see two options to view it in calendar view or list view. And the option to change the name of the event from here, change its privacy, view some information about the event, like its number of routes or its starting location you've added. But the important thing is creating an event. So let's create an event with routes. Give it a name. And a date. And we'll cover the rest of this once we're in the event. So we've created our event, but you'll see here, there's no routes in it because we need to add some. So I want to click add a route. And here I'll have a drop-down list of all the routes in my club account. So I'll click this route and you'll see it there. I can add another one. And when I refresh the page, I'll see this button show all on map. And I can toggle between the two. But I'd like to edit some of the event details. Here I'm able to change the date if I need to. I'm able to set up if you have repeat events. If you have a weekly ride that starts from the same location and has the same routes every week, this is a good way to set it to recur automatically. So this is our, let's call this our Friday ride, and it repeats every 2 weeks, every other week until this date, for example. I'm not going to use this option once I save it. And then we can add a custom location if you wanted to choose where it starts from. Let's say it starts at Water Avenue Coffee. And who can see it? Your events can be public, members only, or managers only. Similar to how a route can be public, members only, or managers only. If an event is public, anyone can view it. It'll show up on a search engine, but not anyone can receive upgraded member benefits on the event. In the case if it's members only, only members who've been added to the club will be able to view it, and it won't show up on a search engine. And route managers only would be only available to those who are route managers. And even if it's a route manager, if you want to keep the event private, but still invite select members to it, you're able to do that with the invite participant link, which I'll get to in just a moment. So, but we'll leave this one as public. And then here's option if you want to add an organizer. So I'll add me and some of these other options. So if you're looking to invite non-club members to this event, say you put on a big ride every year that a lot of participants come to who aren't part of your club, you can choose to give them access to this for a limited amount of time rather than indefinitely. So if you don't have this selected and someone RSVPs to this event, they'll have upgraded benefits on the routes in this event indefinitely. If you select to remove them after this amount of time, once they click the invite link, a timer will start, and whichever of these options you've selected after that time, they'll be removed from having access to this event. Here is a good option if you want to ensure that whoever is RSVPing to this event has a name and email visible on their account. In the case that someone creates an account with us using Facebook, Google, or Apple sign-in, they won't have an email address listed. It's just a good way to make sure that when they do RSVP, they have an email address that you can see. And the segment leaderboard. So this is a way to track different segments that you've created for the routes in this event. And you're able to see a listing of time and their rank overall. Here you're able to add a description of the event. If you wanted to list out important information that you want your riders to know about beforehand, or resources for along the route. And when you're done, you can click save. If I was inviting a non-club member, I can click invite participants. And here is a familiar link, a little different than like the members link we looked at. Anyone who clicks this link will RSVP to this event. If they have an account with us, they'll proceed to the event. If they don't have an account, they'll be asked to create one for free, and then they'll become a participant in this event. And what that does, it gives them upgraded benefits on the routes in this event only. So like if you were putting on an event for people other than your club members, you can send them this link and they get those upgraded benefits to those routes in this event, but not access to the rest of your club account's route library. As people click that, their names will appear on the Manage Participant link, and you'll see that information populate here. You can also access the Invite Participants link from this page too. So I've created my event. And I have some recurring events that I previously made. And I want to put them on my website because let's see, because I want to show off the event list to my members when they log on to our club's website. So down at the bottom, you'll see this Create Embed button. So when I click this, I'll come to this page to configure this embed. And so this calendar you see here is what would be placed in your website by grabbing the embed code like this. Just copy and paste this into your website editor, and this calendar would show up and update dynamically. If you'd rather it show as a list view, you can click list and see the different upcoming events. On the calendar view, you can hover over an individual event and see some details about it. If I click it, it'll open to the event page where I can see the routes and the description and view the route if I'd like to by clicking Go to Route. You're able to customize some of the other information that's included when you hover over the event title. So here, the webinar ride we just added. Cool. All right. So Will's going to cover the collections next. So I'm going to get him host.
What I said is that we actually have a few people on the presentation right now from Charles River, which is great because we're actually going to use their example and what they've done with collections. And what they've done actually inspired us to do some cool updates too, which we'll be sharing with you. So back on the Ride with GPS club page here, just like you have the event table, the route library, the member table, etc., you have collections now. And here's a couple collections that I've already created, but basically what they are is a way to group your rides together in a way that's a little bit more meaningful for your club members and a little bit more accessible than tags. I think tags are a great option for route managers and admins because they can understand kind of the nuance of how you've organized the routes and the different naming structure and stuff. A lot of club members, they're just coming to the account to find out what routes they can do from Southwest Portland, or what routes they can do from Northwest Portland, or some other grouping. I have here the top 5 routes to do in spring, or maybe have the top 5 routes to do solo. Ones that are a little bit safer and a good option to do in kind of residential areas that people are riding from. So if you click on that, what you'll see is a grouping of all the routes that you've added to it, and you'll see those embedded on here. And you can select any route from your route library. So, we just have a handful of them added to this, but if I wanted to import other routes into this, I can click this option here, and this is going to pull up my route library. And for example, if I wanted to add the Sabi Island loop here in Portland, click add, that will import that route into this collection. I can then share this collection either individually, or I can share the entire collection page. So if I click here and copy this link, I could put this link on my website if I wanted to give people free access, meaning they didn't have to be club members to access this. I can send it out to my club members specifically. And one of the updates that I was mentioning that we're going to be making is right now permission is controlled by this link. So, the collections can be private, or this entire collection page can be private, but you can't make them member specific, meaning only members can see it. So what we're going to be adding in here in the next month is the ability to assign a permission level to this. So if I only want my members to be able to access that, I can do that. If I want some of my collections to be members only, but some of them to be more focused on like how Charles River's doing it, which is almost like a public resource, so they want to showcase the best ride in their area for a lot of different people, not just club members. They can put this on their website and make this available to other people as well. The other part that is going to be added in here in the very near future is that collections are going to sync to club members apps, just like events and routes do right now. So right now, if you're an approved member of the cycling club, whether you're a route manager, a member manager, or just a member, and you sign into the Ride with GPS app, your club will show up on the club homepage. And if you tap on that, there's a devoted page there. So any route that you have, if you click there, they'll be able to access any route they have permission to view. If you use the events system and you click that, any of the events coming up will show up there. We're big advocates of this because one piece of feedback we've got from a lot of clubs and things that we've seen when we've been on club rides is a lot of people just show up to the start of the ride and they haven't done anything in terms of downloading the route ahead of time or printing it or anything like that. This gives them the option to literally show up at the parking lot, tap events, choose the route that they want to ride from the starting location, and then navigate it without needing to do anything else. The only thing they would have need to done ahead of time is join the club, which most people take care of in the spring. Collections is going to be very much like that. So we're going to have a tab here for collections. So if you tap on that, it will bring up a full list of the collection pages. And then you'll see all the collections that your club has created, and people can choose, for example, in my example, best rides to do solo or rides from Southwest or anything like that. So that's something for the radar. The other thing outside of collections that I wanted to mention, we got some feedback on this, was people asked how we get this a lot. How do I take a ride or a route from my personal account and bring it into the club account? So I was just going to show you a couple different options on how to do that. So let's say I have either planned a ride or maybe I went on a ride. This actually is a run here. I did dropping my daughter off at school down the street. This is a ride, and maybe I want to turn this into a route. I'm going to click More, and I'm going to click Open in Route Planner. And let's say I turn this into a route and I trace it. And we're going to focus on this mainly in our route planning session and the route planner in more detail. But when I'm ready to copy this to the cycling club and I click Save, there's an option here in terms of what account I want to save it to. So instead of saving it to my personal account, if I wanted to drop it into the Ride with GPS Cycling Club, I could check that box and save it directly to the cycling club. Another option, if I am in my personal account and I have a route planned, or maybe I'm on someone else's account and I see a route that's really cool, and I want to copy that route to the cycling club, even though this route is owned by my personal account or someone else's personal account, I can click More, copy to my routes, and you have the same option. You can copy it to your personal account, or if you are a route manager with a cycling club, you can choose that account and copy it directly there instead. So that's one of those admin features we get asked a lot. I just wanted to let people know about that feature and that option. Let's see here. So we covered collections, and that was one of the last things that we wanted to cover. So I know that there's a lot of Q&A. Let's pull this up and just read through here and see what else we can answer. And Alex, feel free to chime in if you have anything else that you read here and wanted to cover.
Sure. So Joe just asked, if I copy a route from someone else's personal account, will a queue sheet be created? If that route was planned on our website, it would have a queue sheet. And so that queue sheet would be transferred along once it's added to the club. If that route was added from a file, say you planned it somewhere else on a different website and uploaded that file to Ride with GPS, it would very likely not have a queue sheet. So you would need to add one in that case. Or if you copied a ride to the club route library, it would not have a queue sheet. So you would need to trace it to add a queue sheet, since rides don't have a queue sheet like routes do.
Excellent. And we will be covering some of this stuff in terms of creating a route for your cycling club. Someone asked that question specifically. We're going to really highlight that option in the third session. So that's not next week, but the week after that. I'll just say that you would sign into the cycling club, click plan, just at the basic level. And I have this one saved here. And then you can plan your route. And then when you click save, because I'm signed into the cycling account, it will save to that account. One thing that Alex mentioned, so this is a ride that I did, or a run that I did rather, and it doesn't have a queue sheet with it. So if I click this trace option here, it's going to auto generate these queues for me, which is a nice feature. And this will provide your riders with turn-by-turn voice navigation. This will allow them to print the route with the PDF and have that queue sheet generated for them. You can customize these things. We'll go into more detail there. I just wanted to call that out specifically. The other question that Jay asked was, any thoughts on running challenges for members? That is an excellent question, specifically because it is something that we're working on right now. Right now, we have something called goals, Jay. So if I go back here, I'm still signed into the account and I click goals, I can create a challenge, basically. And let's call this my cycling club goal. And I can load a photo to this. So let's just say this happens to be one I have on my desktop. So we'll pull that in, but that could be your club logo. You can give it a range. So let's say I want to go from today until the end of the month. And then I can say what you want to compete on. So right now it's set to distance. So my goal based on this time frame is going to be who can ride the most during this time frame. And then I click save. So now I have this goal created, and then the next step would be to invite friends. In your case, you would be inviting members. So you would copy that and you would send that out to all of your members. Goals works really well. I'll show you an example of what goals looks like populated. So this is our office challenge here. And I always make the joke that you can tell who in the office has kids and who doesn't, because those that don't have kids, Alex is at the top. And then those that do, me, Kevin, Zach, Cullen, we're down at the bottom. But what this goal does is anytime someone logs a ride on their site that meets the criteria, so this is January 1st through December 31st, their ride will be counted. And then we accumulate those and put them on the leaderboard. And the admins are able to look at those. And as an admin, you can exclude exclude rides and stuff like that. We're taking this goals technology and incorporate it into the cycling club. Basically, and it will be launched before spring. The basic idea here is you won't need to specifically invite your club members to this. If someone is an approved member, they'll be able to access it. and it will automatically show up. So it'll be a little bit more surfaceable to them. And then we're going to improve the invitation process for it as well. So that's a great question, because it's something that we know is really important, specifically because a lot of clubs can't do in-person events right now. Just scanning through some of the questions here.
One question asking about the event time. So as far as removing participants from the event, if you send out the event participant link and the timer starts once someone clicks the link versus from when you send it. So if you send me that link and it's set to remove me after 2 weeks, once I click it, that timer starts. So if you are inviting me to your event and it's in 3 weeks from now, and I click it 2 weeks before, that I would have my access removed a week before the event starts. So be aware of that if you are using that option, since you don't want people to show up and their access has been removed. So either wait to send that link out or give that expiration date a longer amount of time when you are sending that link.
Looks like, so Barb had a question, is a route manager the same thing as a ride leader? It depends on how you run things with your club. Sometimes the person that leads the ride is not the same person that creates the ride. In our ecosystem, a route manager is anyone that can log into the account and create routes. In some clubs, it's the ride leader that creates the routes themselves. And in other clubs, the club might create these routes, or there's an approval process for the routes, and different people can lead the rides and they can select routes from the given route library. So that just depends on the club. But if your club is such that your ride leaders create the routes themselves and you want them to have that permission, then I would assign them route manager permission.
Jay asked, can you bulk add members? And you cannot. You would need to still rely on the invite members link, which is the easiest way to add people to the account. With the club account, we do require everyone to have their own personal subscription, their own personal account. They don't need a subscription, just a free account. And so your club members may not already have an account with us. So that invite members link allows us to ensure that they have an account with us first, and then they join the club.
Excellent. And then Susan here has a question about limiting the number of riders that can sign up for an event. Currently not on our system. And honestly, before this year, before kind of the tail end of summer, we never got that request. And then we got it a number of times since then, as different states have started to open up and different areas have started to open up and allowed clubs to ride together, but had to limit the size. So we are going to be implementing something there that is part of a larger project to overhaul the event system, which again is one of the wintertime projects that we're working on. So challenges, event system, org collections, that's all on the roadmap for organizations. So I think probably mid to late spring, that option should be available.
Drew asks if you already have a route in your personal account and you save it to the club account, does it delete it from my personal account? And there are a couple ways to do that. So depending on if you move it or copy it. So you can copy a route and that creates a duplicate. So there would then be a version in your personal account, and then there's a version in the club. And they have two different URLs and they're two distinct routes from one another. There is an option to move a route so that it's removed from your personal account and then it's moved to the club, and then the URL is the same. And Will, maybe you could show people how to do that since you have the screen on.
I was just reading through that. Can you repeat that one more time, Alex? I was reading through the questions here.
Can you show how to move a route from the save form, from your personal account to the club?
Yep. So I'm signed into the club here. I'm going to sign out, which is going to put me in my personal. I'm going to jump to my route library and select a route. So first thing I'm going to do is edit this route. This brings up the route in the route planner here. And I'm going to click save. And then there's two options here. The first one is update, which is it's going to move the original version of the route from my account to the organization. It's going to retain the same URL and everything else. The second option here is save as new. That will keep the original version in my account, and it will create a new version with a new URL and a new route ID inside the club account. So I choose that, and then underneath the account I want to save it to, drop down to Ride with GPS Cycling Club, and then I would click save and save that into the account. And I just want to highlight, we'll do our best to get through all the questions. Currently, there is over 40 questions open right now. So we're just kind of going through here and scanning to see if we've already covered something or if it's something new that we're able to cover.
Chris asks, they were logged into they were asked to upgrade to premium when they chose one of the advanced route planning features. And if you do ever see that and you do have a free personal account, then it means that you're not signed into the club. So in that instance, it was the queue review tool, which is a advanced route planning feature and typically just available to premium subscribers. But if you are a route manager, you can sign into the club and use that feature. So if you did plan it in your personal account, but you wanted to review the queues, you would need to move that route or copy that route to the club or replan it in the club, and then you can use that upgraded feature. And so you can always double check, confirm that you're signed into the club by that yellow toolbar at the top versus the white toolbar.
Okay, and Jay asked, would it be possible for the event to create an event calendars record .ics that could be shared? Yep, I'm sharing my screen here, so I'm on the event page. And if you scroll down to the bottom here, there's two options. This export events, if you look in the bottom left of my screen, you will see that's a calendar.ics. So you could share that link and then people could incorporate that into either Google Calendar or Apple Calendar, or any Microsoft, any calendar system that they use. And we do actually have some documentation steps for that. The one thing with that though is the refresh rate is controlled a lot of times by the services that you integrate that with. So for example, Google, when you put that into a Google Calendar system and then embed Google Calendar on your website, it could take up to 24 hours for something to change on our website for Google to refresh that link essentially. And sometimes it happens immediately, sometimes it happens 4 hours, sometimes it happens 12 hours. I'm sure they measure that depending on their current load, but that is the downside of using that system. One of the reasons we created this embed option, which Alex went through, is the ability to put on your website real time these embeds, and then anything that you create in Ride with GPS will be updated real time. So if I embed this on my website and the Thursday Hill Repeats route changes or it needs to get canceled, I can change that in Ride with GPS and it's going to be updated on my website real time. So we really made a push to make this option available to a lot of clubs and kind of integrate that to help streamline some of the admin responsibility.
Anita asked to confirm who can view collections. And so currently right now, it's route managers when they're signed into the club account. But you can share those collections with non-route managers. And then once you share it, that person can choose to follow it, and then it would appear on their account on the website and on the app. But as Will mentioned, that is going to change coming up soon, where you'll have dynamic permissions of being able to choose who can view the collection without you having to share it to them first.
Teresa asked if you had to be logged into the club in order to copy the route from your personal account. And no, I might have covered this after you asked, but it's important enough that I'll just run through it one more time real quick. I'm on my personal account here, and I want to copy this route to the organization account. I would just pull this up and I would click copy to my routes. And then under account, I would choose which account I wanted to copy it to that I'm a route manager for.
Rochelle asked if you can add events that are not rides, and you can. When you are creating an event, even if the event doesn't have routes associated with it, I would still recommend choosing that option since it will appear in your club calendar. So when you create the event, if you decide not to add routes to it, it'll still show up in your club calendar on, if you choose to use the embed, or on your club page on the website and on the app as well for your members to view. So if you had a club meeting or a social hour, you can add that as an event with routes, but don't add a route to it.
Looks like there was a question regarding routes and rides that were saved inside the app not showing up on the personal account. And I would say if that's ever the case, it's almost 100% that you're signed into two different accounts, one in the app and then one on the computer, because that's essentially how our technology works. Is if you record a ride with our app, it's automatically going to show up on your website. It's going to log to your account. You'll be able to access it in the same place. Same thing if you create a route on your personal account and then you want to access that route, it will show up inside the app. So it works both ways.
Paul asked about how non-route managers provide routes to the club, and they would either need to be added as a route manager to add that route, or they could share the route to you, who is a route manager, and you could copy their route from their account into the club to make a duplicate version. This ties with a question that was also asked about moving a route that is in a different user's account, a different personal account other than yours, and you wouldn't be able to do that. You can only move your own routes, moving as in keeping the same URL. So in that case, whoever you wanted to move a route of, they would need to be a route manager and move it on their own. If you have a lot of routes in a personal account that you wanted moved or copied in bulk, that's something that we can handle. Feel free to email us about that rather than having to move them individually.
All right, Randy asked a great question about cleaning up their route library and then also naming tagging structures. We've seen a lot of different options here. Since I'm sharing my screen, I'm just going to cover a couple things. First thing, in terms of cleaning up your route library, I wanted to mention is I wanted to highlight again is this archive routes option. So you have your standard route library here, but a lot of clubs will take routes kind of out of commission because maybe there's construction or something like that, but they don't want to delete the route entirely. They just know that that route for the 2021 season is no longer valid. They will select that route or the group of routes that has that on it, and they will archive that, and it will move it to a separate table of all the archived routes, and you can move them back and forth if you choose to. But essentially, it's a way of cleaning up your route library and organizing a little bit more. In terms of the naming and tagging structure, we've seen a lot of things here. One thing I would say is that you want to be cognizant of the 14 character limit with Garmin. So Garmin's only look at the first 14 characters of the route name, or course name as they call it when you import it in. So if in this example, I named my route Bald Peak West Side Short, and then I had another version that was Bald Peak West Side Long, the character limit exceeds that 14 character limit, and the Garmin's going to override the first file with the last one if I loaded both of them. So that could negatively affect some of your members that use Garmin's. So be cognizant of that. You know, if that was the case, I might have some identifying feature earlier on. So it might be, you know, I might start off with, like, depending on how your club runs routes or rides, maybe it's based off groups A, B, C, D. Maybe it's based on short, medium, long, like a lot of events do, or something like that. I would have that identifying feature at the beginning of the route. So if it was a route, maybe it's A dash, and then some identifying feature of where the route goes. I've seen clubs use. So in this case, like Bald Peak is a climb over where we are. Up in the hills, it's pretty iconic. Most people know when you're going to do that route, you're going to get some steep climbs in there. So it'd be something to highlight that specific aspect of it. I would say the same thing I've seen with tagging. A lot of times what clubs will do is they will tag routes based off of the group they're intended for. They might also tag the year that the route is being used. So if you do have to go through a cleansing process for the route library, or if you have to remove duplicates or something like that once a year, you have that ability to just pull up everything from 2020 and filter out anything else. I've seen people break it into pavement, like paved, unpaved, flat, or hilly, weekend or weekday, which a lot of times has to do with whether or not, like, the distance of the rides or where they intend to start from or something like that. You know, the Tuesday rides, Thursday rides might start from a more, you know, downtown location. The weekend rides might start in an area that someone can drive to. And then the other part with tagging that I've seen a lot is route managers, including their initials. So if I'm a route manager and I only want to pull up the routes that I've created, I could select that and only pull up those routes that are tagged with my name to easily filter those. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. If you have more questions there as you dive in, shoot us an email. This goes for everyone. Anything we can't cover in the presentation, or you know, any follow-up questions you have with more specifics, always feel free to shoot us an email at clubs@ridewithgps.com, because we might be able to share screenshots or examples or something else that could be useful for you as well. All right. With that, I know there's still a lot of questions. We're currently at 5 p.m. PST, which means we're about 8 o'clock. Alex, any other questions here you want to cover?
I think that covers what's relevant to the admin side of things. If there weren't any questions answered, yeah, please, like Will said, email us at clubs@ridewithgps.com and we can help you there.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I'd add is the next 2 sessions are going to be, I think, advantageous for everybody, but they're a little bit more focused on the club member side. So they'll be a little bit more applicable to everyone in your club, not just those that have permissions to sign in and do some of the management features. So the next session we're going to focus on is, pulling up one of the routes from the route library, and how do I export this to my Garmin? How do I sync it to my Wahoo? Things like that. How do I print PDFs, and what do some of those customizations mean? And then the session after that is going to be devoted to the route planner. So we could spend an hour just in the route planner showing you all the different options and examples and tricks that we know. So we'll spend the entire presentation going through all of that stuff. So thank you all. I really appreciate everyone's time and making the commitment to come here. And like we said, if we didn't get to your question, I apologize, just kind of running short on time, but shoot us an email, clubs@ridewithgps.com. We're always happy to help. And we will also be making this presentation available to review afterwards. So we'll get it edited and loaded, and people will be able to access it via a link, which we'll send out to everyone. So thanks again, and look forward to talking to you all either by email or during the presentation next week.